Link and
Oh, wait. There it goes. There it goes.
Are we live yet?
Should be.
Does the company have an IG page? Are you guys on the internet? Oh, it looks like it's. Are we live?
We are live.
We're live. We're live. So I have to build up this intro, but everybody's been waiting for so long for the true part 2. So we got the man, the myth, the legend, the most interesting man in the world. I like to refer to him as a friend, but he's the brand builder, the brand guru. He's not only taught me so much, but he's taught a lot of the teams and the folks that I work with so much, and spent so much time teaching me the trade craft. And I followed him around shows. I've watched how he works. Our thinking is very much aligned, and we bounce a lot of ideas off of each other, but he's taught me so much. I owe so much to him. Mr. Quest himself, Bruce Cardenas.
Thank you for that introduction. That was amazing.
It was okay.
Thank you for having me.
It was okay. I didn't do a major build-up like I've done in the past, but you've influenced me so much in your quest to build brands, and seeing how you work and how you operate and how you've worked with different companies. It's really amazing, and I can't thank you enough to start this off for how much you've shown me and your support to me and to the things that I'm doing. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me.
Oh, thank you. That was very kind of you, John.
No, it's
Been a pleasure.
100% genuine. We've shared many a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah.
We've
Just a couple of J bowls.
we've shared. We're gonna have a J bowl today.
Yeah.
We've shared many a bowl. We'll get that. It's only 2 miles away.
Oh, it is.
So a small plug to Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler.
and Teriyaki Boy. So
Not a sponsor.
Not
but
a- not a-
Are we eating for free, Jay, by going to saying this?
not a sponsor. So I've spent many a night talking to Bruce and picking his brain and snacking on his nuts, and it's been really an honor and a pleasure to get him in the studio again for part 2 and pick his brain a little bit more and talk a little bit of Quest. We're going to talk a little bit of Valiant. We're going to talk Blackwater, and we're going to talk about a few other things that BLK water is. BLK water?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what they prefer? And we're going to talk a little bit about all the different brands and what he has going on and what he's been working on, and get an update on all things Bruce. So to kind of, before I throw it to you, your previous podcast, we discussed, your background, your past, your history, Marine Corps, LAPD, private security. Let's not pick on that, but why don't you give people a little Reader's Digest of where you started, where you are?
Like to birth or?
No, just, just give the defense community what they want.
Yeah, I always say this. Marine Corps got me out of New Jersey, joined LAPD, did that for 12 years, started a successful protection bodyguard business in conjunction with being executive vice president of the largest limousine company in the country. So they worked hand in hand. And Quest just happened serendipitously. The owner was at the gym. We met, became friends. I started helping him with relationships. And 9 years later, boom, here we are. It's a conservative billion-dollar company, and we're in 70 plus countries
It's amazing. It really is.
with many food items.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous journey, and to anybody that hasn't, paid attention or followed along, I definitely learned a lot just from your journey, and it was a journey of persistence, really. Persistence and value are two of the takeaways I take away from everything that you did. You always wanted to add value to the brands and to the folks you were working with, and we were over at the sales team chatting with them, and you were echoing some of those things. But really, your persistence to want to be a part of something bigger was always the hallmark, and your willingness to say, I'll trade time to show value. And I think that's a little lost today. And we talked about that.
We did talk about that. It's definitely lost. Who does anything for free or who brings value without getting compensated? I did for the first 9 months at Quest only because I did have another source of income, so it wasn't like I was in need of the money, but it was so exciting with what the brand was doing. It was new. It was a startup. The brand, the product was good, and it excited me. I always say to this day, I'm glad it wasn't canned corn. I don't know if I'd get as excited about canned corn.
I don't think anyone would get excited about canned corn, but I mean, I think that's something, just to segue before we get knee deep into Quest and Legendary and Valiant. I think that's something that's a little lost on this generation. That whole putting your time in piece. Not to say anybody wants to work for free, Bruce. You were in an advantageous position. You had the ability to do it, but I think people lose sight of building their trade craft to a point where they realize, okay, now I'm adding tremendous value to this company, this brand, this movement. And where do you kind of put, people can't work for free, but I think what they can do, and you said this before, is step out of the box a little. Go to a different trade show, go to a different something, walk around, spend some time with some different influencers and see how companies tick. I feel like there's not enough attention to building their trade craft, I guess would be the best. I mean, take me for a second away from, let's kind of give people advice. If you're in a job or you feel like you're in a rut or you feel like you're not advancing or you feel like you're not getting somewhere, what advice would you give someone? Let's say they're a photographer, just to pick a thing, how do you get back that feeling in a brand or in a company? I think you step out of the box and you go do something different from what you're doing. If you're photographing fitness people, go maybe check out the gun industry or the car industry or something else. Try to reawaken some of that love. And I feel like that's what happened to you. You found a love and a passion for something that was always a part of you. You always lifted weights.
Yeah.
You always trained. And coming into this was a natural progression. I mean, it was easy. You knew the field. You knew the space. You just had to awaken that warm and fuzziness.
Yeah, that's really true. But I do want to say something. I'm going to go back to that. But you said, it's hard for people to work for free. Yeah, everyone, life gets going and you need to pay the bills. But there's 24 hours in a day. And a lot of people, you may have a 9-to-5 job. But what about after that job ends at 5 o'clock? Instead of going home and sitting on the couch, start that online business, whether it's a training business, whether it's e-commerce business, whether it's creating a brand and you sell it online. I mean, there's another shift you could work. So when people say I can't work for free, there's nothing wrong with finding a second job. Listen, it's no joke that most millionaires have multiple streams of income. Everyone knows that. There's no such thing as just one source. Some have 5, 6, 7, 8. I think Warren Buffett has 33. I might be making that up. I thought I heard that the other day.
If not more.
Yeah. I mean, between all the companies he owns. But I'm saying is, so could you work for free? For sure you can. I think it's worth the time to pay your dues now if you want to become successful. And if financial freedom is important to you, find a way to do it. Partner with somebody.
Why is it you feel companies are reluctant to allow, in some cases, employees to do that? Like collaboration is something that was rampant, and now you see a little bit of a pushback from companies at times. Do you feel like it's closed-mindedness? Because we've talked about this off the record. There's people that they want you in the seat 9 to 5, and they kind of are closed-minded to that collaborative effort. Why do you think that is?
Well, that's the employer. That's a mentality. I mean, some people, like some owners of companies, are like, "Hey, I'm compensating you for your time. I want your butt in a seat. I want to know where you are." I mean, I've been pretty fortunate, and actually, Quest in particular, we've had it for I think 4 years now. Unlimited vacation time policy, which that strikingly sounds bizarre, right? But no one takes advantage of it. But also, no one's watching a clock. No one's checking to see when you come in, as long as the job's done. I mean, we have campaigns. We'll launch a new flavor. People put a lot of time and energy in, but no one's checking to see if you're at your desk on a Friday at noon. Maybe you want to work from home. Maybe you want to work from the beach. Maybe you're a creative guy who creates content, or a graphic designer. You can work from a laptop. I think the mentality or the mindset of owners thinking you need to be sitting at your desk to be productive is completely ass backwards nowadays, especially with, I don't sound so, with younger people for sure. I mean, they're creative. They could be creative wherever they need to be as long as you're in your team meetings. I think it's actually productive. And most of these brands like Google and Yahoo and all these places have these cool campuses. People come and go as they want, as long as you're doing your job and you're productive. That's what's key.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I have these talks a lot with, owners and executives, and I've had this chat over and over again. And because we're a bridge between, we're in a tougher spot because we have a manufacturing element. So they beat that manufacturing mentality, that Barney Rubble, psh, psh, punch in, punch out mentality. I try to tell them, like, look, nobody's trying to skirt you. Nobody's trying to, cheat you out of hours or anything like that. We're trying to show you that to build a brand and to build a company, you have to get out there. You have to put the brand to the forefront. And if anything, the ground game, they gain more from an employee that's not only creative, but also getting out there and building the relationships with people and building the bridge between two people. I feel that's changing faster than some companies are, and I feel that it's hurting some companies overall because they're not adapting quick enough.
For sure. I mean, listen, there's obviously some companies, if you're building Ford automobiles, you're on the assembly line. Unfortunately, you don't have that latitude to work remotely.
Right.
But for creative jobs, marketing jobs, sales positions, content creators, you can almost do it from anywhere nowadays. I mean, you have an iPhone, you have a laptop, and you have Skype,
Yeah, and Quest has always been one of the companies at the forefront of that, with Amazon, Google, the things that you've told me. So it's awesome to see, and it's great to learn from any potential mistakes anybody else makes and bring them anywhere else.
Right.
Selfishly, for me, but I really love the Quest product. The Quest brand speaks for itself, and you guys are always innovating flavors, everything else. And the latest one is the donut bar.
The donut bar, and that was an interesting campaign. You don't know how many people, because I guess it was a little.
So tell me what goes into that campaign and how you get that out there.
So obviously the flavor and the concept came up. We all agreed on it, and everyone decided, yeah, let's roll with it.
Did anyone disagree? Because who disagrees to a donut?
No. We've had people call in a chip. I mean, the company's obviously evolved quite a bit from now, but in the earlier days, we would vote and say, no, let's go back to the drawing board, or the founder at the time would scrap it.
I could see like pina colada being scrapped, but donut.
But donut that's a huge campaign. I mean, months and months, and obviously we did it right because people were writing me saying, you guys are opening up a donut shop, because we even posted, donuts coming to a city near you soon. Even to this day, people are like, where do you get these donuts? They actually thought it was a physical round donut instead of a donut-flavored bar. We did really well with the influencer campaign. I think we mailed out, maybe 2,000 of those kits. And you got one, right, with the inflatable Homer Simpson pool floaty.
It was genius.
Yeah, we got millions of impressions. I mean, and let's say the efforts you need to make with brands now is you need to touch people, influencers, micro-influencers, and...
Just so companies, understand kind of where you're coming from, what goes into a campaign like that? How many months of preparation?
I mean, properly a year. I mean, with 6 months. I mean, anything short of 6 months, you're just not getting it done right. You need to have these things calendared out. We have, most brands have things calendared out well a year in advance.
So you hear that out there, people? To everyone who wants to do microwave marketing in 3 hours or less, in Q, I know you know what I'm talking about. Microwave marketing, you can't do it. Can't do it. Doesn't make sense. I think you have to understand that you need time to build these things properly and get the right people involved. And I know this stems into relationships. How important is it to get the right relationships involved behind a push? I mean, is it everything? Is it some of the thing?
Gosh, percentage-wise, I don't know. I have to think about that. I mean, obviously, relationships are important. With the marketing relationships you develop with influencers and micro-influencers, with your manufacturing relationships, packaging. You have great relationships. People, as I've said before, people want to do business with people they like. So people are going to be eager to push you to the front of the line with getting packaging done in a timely manner, getting shipping done. If you have great relationships, you don't have great relationships, people can drag their feet. So obviously, it all needs to come in sync, and that does all involve relationships.
So you said something there I wrote down. How do you, script out your relationship? So how do we look at this landscape of social media? You have micro relationships. You said a term there, micro relationships. So you have these people and
Micro influencers.
Micro influencers.
Yeah.
So I have my own way of categorizing it myself, but I'm trying to understand this is like the new normal now. And I said this to one company. Just having Instagram isn't enough.
Correct.
It's not enough. So to everybody out there that rolls up on Bruce and says, I want a Quest sponsorship, just, first of all, Quest doesn't sponsor anybody, per se.
We have a pretty extensive Quest squad. Yeah, it's 3,000, almost 3,000 large.
3,000 large. But what I'm getting at is, how do we in today's day and age categorize social media influencers? Do you have a system?
Yeah, we have a pretty elaborate system. I could tell you the name of it, but I'd be promoting them. But it's a software program. But we track them based on their engagement, what they do. We have campaigns, so it's not as simple as just, hey, I'm a cute guy or girl, I want to be an influencer. We have a process. We vet them out. And I think I said we're almost at 3,000 now. But we have campaigns. We do launches. We'll send them product, and we have missions that they accomplish. It's actually a lot of fun stuff, almost like some scavenger hunt stuff, swag. There's just a lot of cool things, a lot of cool perks to be part of the team.
It's amazing. Yeah. It really is. It's such a deep, big network, and we've seen, other companies strive to be on that level, and a lot of the exciting things folks are doing out there. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to promote anyone too much, but I think it's exciting to see what Quest is doing. The donut campaign was super fun to be a part of and super fun to see. I left the blow-up donut at the gym, and people were taking pictures with it. And some people knew the tag, and some people didn't know the tag, but it was just really fun to see people like, I'll take a picture with it. Oh, Quest, because everybody eats the Quest product, and the product's out there, and it's kind of become a little bit of a juggernaut, which is fun to watch, because you always hope to get to that point, and it's nice to see when a company's there, them sustain it for a long run. Just seeing them do cool and exciting, like you said, the Homer Simpson donut.
And we had fun with the donuts too, especially
with
my law enforcement background. We sent with, actually, you gave me some names too. Some law enforcement people, and they had fun because there's always that running joke about cops and eating donuts.
Yeah, Cunahan makes a living on it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, exactly. So we had a lot of cool posts from
Mike.
Police officers.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's badass, and I love how the brand's evolved. I love some of the directions your team and you guys have taken it, and it's super fun to see. And, we talked about this last time, but it really wasn't where it is now, and in the process and some of the keto research, and now we have dog food.
Dog food, yeah, that's an exciting thing. It's not just dog food. It's funny. I got this packaging here that says Valiant, but we made a name change to Visionary Keto Pet Foods. But that's a real passion play. Like I told you, I think last time, we've done a lot of research separate from Quest. It's a separate entity, the Epigenics Foundation, but all funded, privately from internally from the founder, is research on cancer, and we've fed dogs and treated them with ketogenic diets, and have had many, I think over 50 now, with cancerous tumors reversed.
And there's a sanctuary.
Yeah, strictly from diet. Can you imagine that? So. And we've done it with voluntary human beings as well. Ketogenic diet have had cancerous tumors reversed. So that's pretty exciting stuff. So we're working on a lot of cool things to come.
I don't know if I asked you this last time. Why are the founders so passionate about keto? Is there a rhyme or reason?
Listen, most of us are going to either die from cancer or heart disease, right? Or prostate cancer if you grow old enough. Mm-hmm. So that's our calling. And me personally, I've had quite a few family members, father or brother, or taken by cancer. So it's a cool space to be in to find answers, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see what they crank out. Are they now? Let me ask you this: as a little bit of a deep dive into Visionary. Are they going to be making some of that research public? Are they going to share some of that research, or are they keeping it under wraps for their own development and their own R&D?
Well, I think our philosophy is this: until you actually have real answers, you don't talk about it, right?
Right.
I think people have a tendency to say what they're going to do. We're working. I mean, the dog food just came out of a demand. We had the website set up giving advice on it was the Keto Foundation or the Keto website on, hey, feed your dogs raw food, fresh food, and then people said, well, is there an easier way? So we came up with the food just based on demand. Right now we're doing some really cool research, but it's too premature to say. But let's just say this: we're not looking to just do research for fun. We're gonna have answers soon.
Has any studies been done? We always talk about the long-term effects. Have any studies, and this is a question that came in from Sean, have any of the long-term effect studies on keto been done? Do people know like how it affects? I mean, a lot of people do the diet. They fall off the wagon in 10 or 12 weeks. Do you have research on what it looks like 20 weeks, 30 weeks, 2 years?
I don't have anything in front of me. It's interesting. I didn't know I was going to be asked that. I would have come prepared.
No, I'm just curious if off the cuff that's...
No, but listen, our ancestors lived on meat in the day. I'm not saying... Listen, everyone... Talking about diets is like talking about religion, right? Everyone's got their belief. People will attack me if I said, look at Chris Bell's been a long time carnivore, keto. There's a handful of names I could rattle off that are hardcore keto, and that's their lifestyle, with no effects.
Well, I read the book Wheat Belly.
Wheat Belly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's kind of stems into this topic that wheat and grains and everything were something that was developed the last 200 years or so, and that they have certain effects on your belly and on your digestive system. And he gets deep into this and does a little bit of his own study. I don't know now that it's a precursor to keto or he has anything to do with keto, the author, but the book itself gets into this topic that we weren't meant to process these grains and these types of things, that wheat is a man-made creation and that we're not meant to consume that much wheat. And they get into a 10-day grain detox, and the book gets into the negatives of having, too many grains and why your body can't break them down. But if you ever get a chance, it's William Davis, he's a doctor.
Okay.
And, the book talks about, that bread is essentially a man-made thing and a creation. I don't know if that stems into it, but I would say I'm a proponent of that carnivore.
And listen, you go back years ago, our ancestors, you would hunt for your food, eat it, and sometimes you would fast for days. So that's why also intermittent fasting is popular. I mean, think about this. You'd hunt down an animal and eat it. Maybe that's your meal for the next 3 days.
Yeah, and I only got deep dive into it because everywhere you go now, everybody's like keto, keto, keto.
Yeah, it's like Atkins was, 20 years ago. As far as the buzzword is, I think it's one of the most searched names search terms as far as diets online.
No, it's super cool. It's super cool to see play out, and you guys doing your research into it's awesome. And then it leads into everything going on with Legendary, and I can't say enough. Ooh, that's my phone. That's loud.
That was the intro to a show, wasn't it?
It's Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that's right.
So I put it on vibrate. I apologize, everybody. But it leads me to Legendary now. I got to tell you, I think Legendary is the best thing that isn't talked about enough. And I'm going to tell you why. The peanut butter game is big. But anybody who's had the nuts, the peanut butter, the flavors, the stuff you're coming out with, I just had a bag of the bacon cheddar almonds, and I've had them in the past. I could eat a bucket of those.
Pretty good, right?
I mean, here's what I say. Why aren't those in movie theaters? Why aren't they everywhere? I feel like that product is probably the best kept secret in Quest's arsenal.
Well, to be clear, too, it's not
a separate entity.
Separate entity. I mean, the Quest creator started this once again, and it's a separate company, and I helped them. It's interesting we're not movie theaters because we're working on that. It's a good play. Listen, they're healthy, they're clean. The taste is amazing. The taste profiles are amazing. So it's growing.
I mean, some of the flavors, wasabi, soy, again, the bacon, cheddar is ridiculous. Ranch, pizza. I
Buffalo.
mean, you know, I fucked up the display here a little
No,
bit,
it's all good.
but still, I mean, it's,
And then our latest nut butters there, the banana. Wait, is banana peanut butter? Yeah.
banana peanut butter.
Yeah.
Now, it really is something. I mean, are those going to be mainstay flavors, or are they going to rotate the flavors?
No, that's just part of our.
The line.
Yeah, for sure. I can't say. Listen, if as things progress, maybe they'll drop them if they don't perform as well. But they're going to be our main flavors, and adding some, and we have some cool other items coming out with them.
It's insane. So you have your hand. We just recapped 4 or 5 brands here. You have your hand in so many different things, and now you're playing around a little bit with BLK water.
Yeah, listen, I like helping brands that are. Listen, I'm pretty fortunate to be connected to help brands that are good for you, right? Like I said, we're not pushing Twinkies, so I'm pretty fortunate. And you know, my friend owns BLK Water, fulvic acid. It's a great minerals. What can I say? I mean, I like helping brands that help other people.
You say no to a lot of stuff. Now I know
Yeah.
I know where your heart is. We all know.
Yeah.
And we know who the number one is. But you get approached and you get talked to by pretty much everybody. Everybody wants to pick your brain.
Yeah.
You know, how does that get frustrating, or how do you process that at a show, walking around, and how do you deal with that? I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes, you know, and I've lived it to an extent, not on the level you have, but
I mean, listen, it's an honor to even people to ask or to pick your brain or want to know how maybe we do certain things or the marketing or how I function. I mean, I get people every day ask me, "Oh, how are you doing this?" It's you're going 7 days a week.
right.
I think it's humbling for people to ask how you do it. You know, one of my good friends who's he's a competitor, but we're really good friends. You know, he said, you know, you're either, I don't know what he used the word, you're either the best marketer or just like the luckiest guy in the world. I think a lot of it's
I don't think you're lucky at all. I'm going to tell you why. Because you have a way about you when you interact with people that leaves a resonating aftertaste. And it's a good aftertaste. People feel good chatting with you. People feel good catching up with you. And, you know, look, everybody loves the guy that shows up with goodies.
right.
Because I've been that guy. Everybody
Yeah.
loves the guy that shows up with a bag of, like, I'd show up to Rangers with a bag of lights, a bag of optics. Everybody walks away and they, you know, oh, he's awesome, you know,
Right.
of course. But it's what you do with it after that.
Right.
It's how you handle the relationship after that. And, you know, I tell people all the time, and I've said this, the most valuable thing I deal in is information and relationships and how to handle those relationships going forward. You know, a lot of times you just are saying like, here, I want you to try my stuff, you know, and let me know what you think and give me some feedback. And you leave people with that lasting thought of like, hey, he didn't ask me for anything. He didn't want anything from me. He just really genuinely wanted me to enjoy the product. And I think people, you talked about this before, a lot is lost today where maybe you can't send a handwritten note like we talked about. Maybe it's a simple text message. Hey, how you doing? I was thinking about you. You know, little things like that. What are some techniques or advice you give people to help build relationships and to help foster relationships? Because people ask me this a lot because they say, like, how do you rub elbows with all these people? I'm not on your level, Bruce, but, you know, I have a level myself. I'm always saying, hey, you know, you have to be genuine and you have to genuinely give a shit, you know, about what's going on with people in their lives. And don't always ask them where the next sale is or where the next dollar is. I mean, what
I'll be
advice?
honest. I mean, this is just me, and it doesn't work for everybody. But I do recommend this to my friends, including competitors. I enjoy giving people product. It feels good. I mean, listen, we're giving someone something that tastes good. It's got great texture. The ingredients are clean. Why not? And I really do not ask for anything in return. I never have. And it's worked out in our favor. I mean, people organically will mention us. And I told you, we've had some pretty big names that'll mention us on social media or give us shout-outs with nothing in return. And these are people that have been paid a substantial amount of money by other brands, paid brands. And I think part of that goes back to having an authentic, genuine relationship with someone where you give something to someone with nothing, with no expectation. Sometimes good things happen. Not always. I've sent people product at nothing, no one's ever said a word, and that's cool. Whether they become a lifetime customer or not, we've accomplished something, we've given something, giving something to somebody, and it's great.
I think that's definitely great advice. And while you were giving it, I took my first sip of the black water. It's trippy.
Oh, is it?
BLK water. It's trippy. Yeah, it's black, and you're just expecting it to be thicker or something.
Right.
I don't know.
That's some damn good water, John.
Is it?
Damn
How are you
good.
guys liking it in the booth?
Damn
I know
good water.
they're all whacked out on it now in the booth.
There's no stimulants. Don't imply.
When you turn the mic on, Q, the funny thing is you have all kinds of rappers and all kinds of crinkling and sipping. Everybody, so Bruce was kind enough to bring all kinds of product here today. Everybody's going to get some muscles. Everybody's on the Quest bars today.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the black.
Never
BLK
come
water.
empty-handed.
Never
Never
come
come-
empty-handed. That's another piece of good advice. But, I want everybody who's listening and paying attention, this is a little different style of podcast because last time we got into Bruce's story and it was more kind of like a biography on him and what he was into and where he came from and how he got to this point. I want to pick his brain more on what makes brands tick and how he identifies successful companies, failing companies, companies that just aren't getting it. And that's kind of what I'm peeling at. This is the onion I'm peeling into a little bit with you. And this is something for the entrepreneur out there that's trying to get their brand out there to break out a notepad and take a few tokens of wisdom away, because I've taken so many away. Bruce is one of the guys that by just paying attention and seeing how he operates, getting the brand in people's hands and getting them talking about it. And you just said something, never show up empty-handed.
It's always been my practice.
So simple.
Yeah, it is a simple practice, but you would be surprised how many people don't do it. I don't think if I've ever gone anywhere without product, I'm mortified. In the entire time, I don't care where I go, I bring product, I give it to people, I leave it. That's just one way. That's just one small way to build a brand. I'm not saying that's the end all. It's just one way. You can't ask someone to become a customer or expect them to become a customer without trying it. So anywhere I go, any meeting, any place, any time, any event, we provide product.
Now,
Simple as that.
As the brand's grown, what's amazing is they've never lost sight of that. Is that more you pushing back on them, like we need to keep this base initiative, this initiative alive, or is that something?
Listen, it's always been, and I'm not an I person. It's always about the team. It really is. That happens to be one of my basic principles in life. I can't say that everyone practices that because, listen, things happen. You get busy. Maybe you're in a position that you just don't think about that. But me personally, that's just what I practice.
Well, that's the Italian in me. Everywhere you go, you show up with like a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
or,
like people say, your mom said never
bowl
show
of
up
pasta,
empty-handed. I don't think my mom ever said that. I just, it sounds good.
A sack of muffins or
yeah,
something.
I just never show up empty-handed. And I'll be honest with you, I think people just know me for that.
How do you confront brands that don't get that?
Listen, I give free advice all day long. To me, it's just like I wear a Quest. I mean, people know me as a Quest guy. Like I told you, I get on a flight. There's a conversation with a flight attendant. I told you last year, the captain invited me up to the front because he was a Quest fan. Now, they wouldn't know that unless I was wearing Quest. So it starts a conversation. Adidas isn't paying me, or Nike's not paying me to wear a shirt, so why would I? Quest is paying me, and I represent the brand, and it has turned it's converted to business in all these conversations, all these meetings, and all these places. You'd be surprised how many even celebrities or influencers I've been to places where an NFL player say, wait, Quest Nutrition, oh, I love Quest, and it strikes a conversation.
Right.
I would have never approached that person, and it would have been awkward socially. So it's worked into a marketing campaign as well.
Right. Do you when you come up against owners that aren't on that same wavelength, have you ever had, how do you break the walls down? Give some people some advice out there, some marketing departments. How do you confront that? It's a tough one. I know. I mean,
early on, you know what? Listen, I'll always give friends free advice, and whether they take it or not, that's their prerogative. I mean, some people feel they pay people to do that, which is cool. I call it pride and ownership, and it starts with everyone. If you have pride in the brand you represent, you have pride and ownership. You're going to wear the brand. You're going to give the brand away. You're going to talk about it. I've always been perplexed, and early on it bothered me a little bit when you have people that would be part of the team and their social media did not reflect that they were part of the team. Nothing about them reflected it. They never wore anything. They never talked about it. I've learned to let that go. There are people that are employees. There are people that are 9 to 5, and at 5 o'clock they check out.
Fred Flintstone.
Yeah. Now me, it's just my life. It's embedded in me. I'm proud to be part of the team. I'm proud to have pride and ownership with it.
You're on a quest.
Yeah, I'm on a quest. Now that doesn't work for everybody, and I don't begrudge them. I'm sure there's been some detriment in my life for being that, because I live it 7 days a week.
Sure.
I sleep in it sometimes. So no, I'm kidding.
Jesus Christ.
But that's just what works for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you said something that stuck with me, pride and ownership. I think that's a great way to put it, and I've come into a lot of situations with brands and with companies myself where I've said, hey, why don't we make the brand the focus, and I feel like all good things will come from that. I feel like you hit the nail on the head. That should always be the initial campaign, is that pride and ownership, that pride in employment, that pride in developing the brand. And if you don't have that at the most basic functioning level, I feel like something is lost. The rest of the campaigns will suffer.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I've felt. And everywhere I've gone, you have to foster that pride. And if people don't have it, you go to some companies and some owners are like, well, they don't even want to give an employee a T-shirt, and you're kind of like, what's
Listen, I said this earlier. We're all influencers, and it's kind of a term everyone uses now. And I told you, when I meet people, they tell me they introduce themselves as influencers. I usually ask them who they influence. Some people can't tell me that, but at the end of the day, we all influence people. So if you're an employee and you're wearing the brand or you're not, you're influencing your inner circle, whether it's just your friends on Facebook, family members. You're influencing by talking about what you do. You're influencing by bringing the brand home. And we all influence people. It depends on what level.
Now, stemming from influencing companies at a business-to-business level, what advice, and we've gotten into this before on a base level, what advice do you give to, now, because I deal with this ad nauseum, and you do too, people that want to be sponsored, people that want to be a part of a brand. Now, you said some things that I try to give to people. Now, there's different types of ambassadors or influencers. There's the Tonys of the world. There's certain people that have established themselves, and they're here to stay in certain businesses. Mm-hmm. So they've established what I call viability in terms of being an investment and a brand spokesperson and face. What advice do you give that person, that has 10, 20, 30,000 followers? They come up to you after a show and they say, Bruce, I want to be a part of the brand, or a part of this brand, or I'm looking at that brand. What's your top 2 or 3 keys you give them? I always say be a customer first.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, be a customer. Yeah. Yeah, that's first. And it's awkward if someone says, "Well, I haven't tried your product, but I only sponsored." So yeah, be a customer, be genuine, bring value to the brand, be authentic, and then we go from there.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to even have a conversation about being part of your brand or a company, and they've not even tried it or they don't eat it.
And going a little deeper than that, I'm trying to explain to people now, and I'm sure you're up against this. I've explained this to many influencers. Just having Instagram isn't enough now.
No.
It's just not enough. 3 years ago, people would come up to you and say, hey, I got 100,000 followers on IG, and you'd listen to the conversation. Now, I feel like I have to be like, well, what are you doing on YouTube? What are you doing on Snapchat?
For sure.
What else do you have going on? Are you just posting photos? You know what I mean? I feel like that there has to be a little bit more meat on the bone now, because the spaces are getting crowded.
Oh, for sure. Listen, if that's your goal to market yourself and get compensated, yeah, you need to have all those verticals covered.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit, and that's something, I've talked about with many people in my circle, and I know a lot of them are making forays, and even a friend of ours, mutual friend bodybuilder, he's making a big foray into the YouTube space and into other spaces. I feel like you have to push into these different things, because if you don't, and you don't have that built out or fleshed out and have your message on those platforms, you're going to suffer, because all these things are starting to feed into the big daddy of them all, which is Google, and all these things are kind of contributing to what would be your brand ID. And to anybody out there, I say, before you approach a Quest or anybody, or try to get in a room or get a meeting, or you say, hey, I want to talk to this one or that one, you can't just roll out. It's not 3 years ago. It's not 5 years ago. It's not even 2 years ago. You can't just roll in a room and be like, hey, I started this IG account and I got 100,000 followers, and I had my aunt take the pictures. It's just not going to work. The space is way too full. way too full. Even podcasting now, you have something like 550,000 active podcasts out there. The space,
really?
yeah, the space.
How many?
550,000.
550,000
Yeah.
and one now.
Yeah,
With you.
with me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's becoming a super crowded space. And you know, IGs now, people have multiple IGs, they have multiple spaces. I feel like Instagram's lost a little bit of its zip, and I know as a chief communications guy, you probably look at these things. I feel like Instagram's kind of, it seems like they're trying to figure out how it can monetize, and the algorithm is affecting people because you're betting on how much someone's willing to swipe down. That's
Right.
pretty much what you're betting on Instagram. Whereas at YouTube or somewhere else, which is more of, I feel, a true brand ID, people are actually searching and seeking you out. And how do you get one without the other? How do you marry the two? It's very interesting to see play out right now over the next couple of years. But you said something next door that was important. Whether you love or hate social media, it's become a necessary evil in 2019.
Must have.
Must have.
Yeah, if you're going to build a brand, a product, a person, a personality, you have to have it. People go to social media for everything to check you out. I told you,
And there's Bruce's page.
government agencies check out your social media. If you're looking for a job, companies go to your social media if they're going to hire you to see what you post, what you represent. It's all it's just part of the background. It's part of the vetting system now. Looking at social media. Matter of fact, on most applications, they'll ask you for your social media handles.
And I'd imagine now at this point, we just showed your Instagram. I'd imagine now at this point, you're not coming across a lot of companies or brands that are against it.
No.
No,
Against social
that's
media?
yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, you get some old time. You know what? I found some of the old timers that maybe founders of companies aren't engaging in social media, but that doesn't really matter as long as the employees are.
Do you feel, and I feel this way, Bruce, this is something I wanted to get into with you and ask. Do you feel like, because this is what I think brands are making a crucial mistake building their brand around being more like operatic, creating like a soap opera. I think it has to be real. I think it has to be like a reality TV show. I think it has to be real and authentic and be your real life and be the real life of the brand too. Because I feel like some companies are out there are, you know, they're dressing it up. They're trying to. It's like the cosplay stuff in fitness. Like I feel like, is there a place for that? But I feel like all these walls are coming down, and people want authenticity, and they want to see what. Okay, Jay, for example, they want to see what Jay's eating in the morning. They want to
do.
see him cooking his eggs.
Well, I find that that's funny. I think people live vicariously through other people. On social media, they want to see what people are eating, and they definitely want authentic.
Authentic interaction.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, and that's what I feel. That's where I feel it's going. I feel a lot of like the hokey stuff and some of the like the, you know, like I mean, I'm not picking on anybody. This is, I don't want to name names. There's a lot of fitness people out there.
let's name
It's almost
somebody.
like they become like characters.
They're
you know?
Photoshop.
Yeah. No, but you know, there's a bit of the Photoshop stuff and the fake weight stuff, and that's in everything. But
Someone took a picture of me the other day, and they used a Snapchat filter. I was like, damn, I got to get on that program.
Yeah.
I look 10 years younger.
I gotta get on that.
I didn't recognize her though, and
I look 50.
yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean,
listen, authentic is always important. People really want to see real people, what they do, the mistakes they make, what's happening.
But I feel like that's it. Don't you feel the last 2 years it's moving more in that direction? It's less, you know, spoofy, charactery. I feel like there's a place for that, but it's getting minimized because people want to see, like I said, they really want to see like you cook your eggs in the morning. They want to see how you know your day to day, like you post stuff where you are, your interactions, the people you meet with, the relationships you have, and people love that. They gravitate towards it. So I feel like there's a greater move towards realism than there is towards that. You know, I'm going to create almost something that's episodic.
Yeah, yes and no.
You could say no.
Oh, I know. I am. I'm authentic. Yeah, you get what you see. You get what you see, or whatever you want.
I put it to everyone in the comments section.
Yeah,
Let us
some
know.
people like to put on a facade. I mean, listen, you meet a lot of people that I would think they're world class models or athletes.
Oh yeah, like in the fitness world, it's I'm going to take
Yeah.
a picture in front of this Lambo over here.
No, and next thing I know, I find out you're struggling
you're
as a trainer living on your
living in a
mom's.
basement.
Yeah,
You know, it's
I mean,
kind of.
that's. But God bless them. Maybe if their goals are to create that persona, maybe and sometimes you get put out there. Maybe that's what they're wishing for, and they'll accomplish that.
The persona meets the reality.
I don't begrudge anyone for that, but
I don't know if it's begrudge, but I feel like it creates a false sense of brand
it
ID.
definitely does. It's awkward when I meet people and I'm thinking, God, there's that guy or girl, and
They were in a private jet, but they were really flying coach.
or whatever, you know. Or
You know, I mean, there's no shame in that. I mean, I think it was, who was it? It was like, what's it, Bow Wow, Snoop Dogg's nephew there. He was, he posted a picture of him like getting on a private jet. It was like a stock image, but he was really flying coach, and someone called him out on it.
No, did they really?
Yeah, that happened.
shit.
And that was a thing. Q, did you see that? That was a thing. Like, you know, if you
Yeah, it
look
was
at-
a whole hashtag.
It was a whole
thing, man.
hashtag
Fake
thing.
Pictures.
Yeah, Bow Wow posted that. I think you could probably pull up the news article. But what I'm getting at is just from a brand perspective, giving people advice on how to develop, build a brand, build their own brand ID, individuals. Be authentic. Be painfully authentic.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I feel. You know, do people want to create a persona and people want to create almost like a caricature? Sure. I mean, you could do that, but just don't stray too far from what you are.
Yeah, and it, you know, just made me think about something. All this, there's no quick solution. Social media is not the answer. I mean, you gotta work hard. As you know, one of my famous hashtags where I copy off Andy is dues paid. You know, I think people are looking for a quick fix nowadays. They're paying money to these advisors on social media. You know, pay me my monthly stipend and listen to my podcast, and I'll get you rich. There's no quick scheme. I mean, you got to pay your dues. You got to work hard.
You mean I can't go to a 10X seminar and
10X, and I didn't. You know, that's the funny thing about 10X. I didn't. There's 10X every weekend. There's hundreds of them
for
now.
$2,000 you and I can go,
yeah.
and we'll be rich.
And you could listen to someone. You could pay your $500 to go, but that's not. You're still gonna go back home, and you still have to do the create
The
your own-
grind.
yeah, the grind. But a lot of people get away from that. They don't realize that. They think there's some kind of quick fix.
Now you talked about this last time, and this is important into the psyche of all things business. People don't realize the ground game that goes into. Like, I get asked all the time, I want to get in the firearms business, just like you get asked, I want to get in the fitness business, or I want to do this. People don't understand the ground game that goes into developing relationships and developing brands, going to shows, hitting the pavement. How much time do you spend on show floors? How much time do you spend interacting with people? Show starts at 9, show ends at 5. I mean, I'm in there at 7. You know that.
Right.
And I never leave the floor. I don't give a fuck where the lunch is. I almost never leave the floor. And I've said that to people. Do people understand that, or is it like that sense of entitlement? I mean, do you feel like people don't approach companies enough, or they're not doing a big enough ground game? Brands, individuals.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, listen, I've been doing this for a long time now, and I go to shows. I'm at a show now. I'm here for
MMA
the
show.
Martial Arts Super Show. It's the 18th year.
We can see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
We're sharing a booth with someone. We have Quest products. I got up early and did a workout, brought product to the workout. I think if you want to build a brand or a company or a personal, those expos are important. Even if you go to a booth that has nothing to do with anything, you meet somebody. They may be a future consumer. They may be a partner. They may be anything. People are quick to not spend enough time at engaging with people, whether it's expos, whether it's events, whether it's meeting customers. You know,
I want to get into this with you because I think you and I share a philosophy with this, and I've attempted to do this a lot in my life, sometimes unsuccessfully, sometimes with great success. I try my damnedest, and I try to tell people this: all these businesses, fitness, nutrition, firearms, defense, they become very small worlds real quick. I tell people all the time, never burn a bridge, because you never know where somebody will end up, and you never know. I mean, we all try our damnedest, right, to not burn bridges. And that's one of the pieces of advice I give people when they're working the ground game and they're working shows. Be open. Be willing to kind of bump into everybody, shake hands, even if it's a competitor, which is something that I've seen in you.
yeah, always.
You know.
So yeah, listen, the ride up is really fun, but coming back down the hill
You see everybody.
could be pretty bumpy, and you know, you never know where you're gonna end up in life. And it's interesting. People will talk to me. Oh, they're a competitor. I say, whatever. They're friends of mine. I go to other people's booths. I try their product. I visit their factories, their offices.
Take the surveillance photos.
No, but I've hung out with people, other companies that people say, well, aren't they a competitor? No, they're not. There's no competition. I mean, yeah, there are in some people's minds. We do what we do. You do what you do. You may have a different kind of bar, a different kind of cookie, but I'm friends with all of them, or at least acquaintances.
Right.
And it was very awkward early on because people would say to me, why are you talking to the guy from that company? Why not?
Right.
I have visited, I've hung out, I've stayed in people's homes that sell the same, in the same categories. There's nothing wrong with that. Be friends with everybody.
I agree, and I can't agree more. I try to say, build bridges, don't burn them. If you burn too many bridges behind you, you'll be on an island. And if you're on an island, it can get very lonely on that island.
And listen, I've been fortunate. I mean, I don't know what the future holds. I mean, but I've been offered opportunities from other companies just based on maintaining a friendship or a relationship. People have said, hey, if anything ever changes in your world, call me. We want someone like you. And there's nothing wrong. Maintain good relationships. It's what life's about.
I can't agree more. I feel like some of that gets lost, and some of that gets almost. I feel like some people just almost have like a self-destruct mechanism. Like they feel like they have to burn the bridge behind them when they leave somewhere. And one of the things I've taken away from you that I feel people don't understand is how open you are to even competitors.
Yeah, I learned early on. It's funny. I experienced this when we were building out the Quest ambassador program, squad athletes, whatever you want to call it, and I had some guys and girls that I would reach out and say, hey, we have an opportunity coming up, and they would come back and say, oh, I'm working part time for this other company, and they really are not comfortable with me working with Quest. I'm like, well, why? I was almost naive to it. Well, no, they just because you're a competitor. And that's just not, and people still to this day get a little crazy. I have athletes. Listen, let's just be honest. I have athletes from other companies that are sponsored by other companies that eat our product. Now, they don't want people to know that, and it's cool, but other owners of companies get crazy. Well, shit, I eat other people's product if I'm in a mood. If I'm traveling the airport, I'll pick up someone else's cookie or bar.
And try it.
Not often. I usually have my backpack full of Quest, but I'm saying is, it's all good out there. There's plenty of, when Quest was started, people said, you guys are crazy. The category's saturated. We need another bar like a hole in the head. And look what happened. The whole bar category rose by Quest starting and blowing up. The entire category rose. Yeah,
it's insane. It really is a study unto itself. I mean, we could peel back the layers for days about how Quest shouldn't have succeeded and where it's gone right. And I'm sure you have a few of those avoid this mousetrap along the way. But just picking your brain in a setting like this, and even the times you and I have chatted at length, picking your brain, hey, you look at this, you look at that, it's been invaluable. I can't thank you enough for that. One kind of final thought, we'll start to wrap because believe it or not, we've gone 55 minutes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it flies. Q, I think we're up on 55 minutes or so. I want to ask you this. When you're out there looking at brands and you're out there kind of walking the show and meeting the people, and you kind of get a vibe from a company, right? That it could have something. Uh-huh. It could have some potential. Do you ever feel compelled to just kind of walk up to that company and talk to them and just maybe offer advice or where do you start? Where does that begin? Or do you feel like they come up to you? I mean, what's the kind of like, have you walked by a booth and you're like, geez, there's something here. And do you feel compelled almost?
That's interesting. I think every company out there, no matter where you are in your life cycle, has a potential to be a $500 million company. I don't go out of my way to give free advice. If I'm friendly with someone or if I meet them and there's a connection, yeah, why not?
Because sometimes I can't help myself. I'll see a booth.
Oh, no. I'm not like that. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy sometimes.
No,
I'll see a booth that'll look like shit. I'll be like, what were you guys thinking when you bought this?
No, because I'm not looking to give shots to people. Now, if like I said, I'll always give friendly advice or people will pick my brain. But sometimes people are very closed-minded or very protective too. I'm not trying to steal your secrets. I don't care what you're making. I just if you're asking for
I operate from that Pat Riley mentality. Like I'll slide my game plan under your door. It's all in the execution.
Yeah,
that's how I've always felt. People try to keep the batter a secret.
Yeah, and I say this: advice is free, and it really is, unless you pay stupid money to some idiot on Instagram that's claiming he's going to make you rich, and buy his program. But advice is free, but what you do with that advice is important. If you're just going to keep going about your day and you're not going to dig in and pay your dues and grind, nothing's going to change anyway. So you might as well take free advice, or maybe look at a brand that's had some success and see what they've done to emulate them.
Emulate it.
Or copy them. Nothing wrong with that either. Plenty of brands do it. There's no trademark against copying, marketing, or strategies. But at the end of the day, you still got to put in the time and work. Nothing's happening overnight. And what's happening now with Instagram, there's this certain, I think, perception going on that there's overnight sensations, and it's not happening.
No.
I could rattle off names. You know, I'm a big fan of Andy's company, and there's certain brands, and Aaron Singerman. Nothing happened overnight. Those guys at one point were almost broke or penniless or sleeping in the back of their offices and all those kind of crazy stories. Now they have a great level of success, and it shows on social media, but people keep thinking, well, that happened overnight. Nothing happened overnight.
Nothing.
There was a period of time when they were living in a one-room apartment and grinding it out and struggling, and people can't get their head around that. At some point, they're in the same position you were in. The difference is they busted their ass, and they worked hard, and they figured it out, and they leveraged, or maybe they went into debt, or maybe they went into bankruptcy to recover. Whatever they did, but they kept grinding.
They kept grinding.
Most people quit. Most people tap out.
Yeah.
Most people tap out, and that's why 95% of the world are employees.
I always use the term, Derek heard me say it an obnoxious amount last week. It's, are you long for the business?
Yeah.
Are you long? Like, what's your long game? Because some people wisp in and they wisp out, and I always say, like in the firearms business, it's like a 5-year cycle. Like you know, like same thing in fitness. You know, people compete for a couple of years and they fall off the map. It's who's long for it. Like we always talk about Mike O'Hearn. He's been around for 1,000 years. You know, Mike's just not going anywhere. You know, it's just he's one of those
You hear
people.
that, Mike? 1,000
You hear that,
years.
Mike?
He
1,000
doesn't
years.
look a day over 100.
Yeah, seriously. But in all serious, love you, Mike. In all seriousness, it's one of those things. You have to answer that question first. So you long for it.
Yeah.
And you know,
Most people are not long for it.
most people are not long
If
for it.
you have a
I was going to
failure-
say, as much as I don't want to say it, most people are not long for it.
Some people that have had a couple bankruptcies have done some. There's been a lot of things happen to them, but they just bounce back and recover. I've lost some money. I've had some bad things happen, but you just bounce back. I mean, there's always time to there's always time to regroup. And
There's
make it
not a
happen.
lot of time to feel sorry for yourself,
No.
but there's time to regroup.
Yeah.
and get back in the saddle. And I've been there myself. You've been with me through thick and thin, and I've seen it myself. I've seen the cycles of business and life, and it's just one of those things. It ebbs and it flows. So you have to kind of pick up the pieces, and you have to realize time gives you perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Time always gives, whether it's a brand, a person, a life cycle that you're in a business, it's going to always give you perspective. So time grants you that. And sometimes you look back and you're like, geez, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Or, geez, that situation, I could have handled this a little differently. And it's what you do, like you said. It's how you learn. It's how you evolve. It's how you take it all in and how you develop your own system to not put yourself on that island and be alone.
Correct.
Because that's the worst place you could be. And you have to make sure that those relationships and those relationships that you build will transcend and they'll stick with you as long as you're doing the right things.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been amazing, and it's been an hour. I can't believe it.
We can't get that hour back.
You can't get that hour back, everybody. But I want to give a special thanks to Kvar, kvar.com. Go check out Kvar. I don't know if Q, you can pull up the website. While I rattle off all things Bruce, where can everybody find you? Where can anybody look you up?
I guess Instagram has kind of been my go-to. I know, I need to start a YouTube, but
Yeah, we got to work on that.
because actually, as I looked at my phone, I'm texting. I told you in the last podcast, I never really wanted to write a book. I thought it was a little weird, but now I'm going to. I have a woman that's going to help me. I've engaged her, and there might be a couple books, and one might be on the whole
There's
journey
Bruce.
of quest alone. But yeah, primarily Instagram, Bruce E. Cardenas. Yeah, look at those.
And we've been over how many people he's rubbed elbows
Throwbacks.
with, and the throwbacks, and Bruce is really one of the most interesting men in the world. Go check out his page, slide into the DM, send an email, check him out.
A lot of people don't know the Dos Equis guy is my father. He was the most interesting man until
you came on the
over,
scene. Yeah. No, I like that. You do see, there it goes. But yeah, go check them out and make sure you send a message. If you guys get the opportunity, go check out Quest, go check out Legendary,
Yeah.
check out what was Valiant, now Visionary,
Visionary.
and BLK Water. Bruce has his hand in a million things. If you see him at a show, don't hesitate to grab him, say hi. He's always very personable, very open. I don't say that about everybody. Some people are prickly, but he's very open. You know, he's like Tony. He'll stop and talk to you for an hour, and you lose that hour. You never get back.
Tony.
Yeah. So, you know, I want to thank everybody over here in the studio, Q, Melody, and Dave, and appreciate everybody over here at KVAR. I want to thank everyone at KVAR.com. We're going to head over to the range 702, shoot some stuff, maybe get a little snack, and catch up. And can't thank everybody enough. Make sure you like and subscribe, tune in, and head over to iTunes and leave a review. Can't thank everyone enough. Make sure you check out the website, www.k-var.com. For all your hunting, fishing, shooting, you name it, whatever it is, backpack, soft pouch, tactical, ninja, anything. And I'm looking forward to walking the show with Bruce later on. So if you're over at that super show, give us a holler. I appreciate everyone, and we're going to be...